Greetings, everyone. Tim Anderson here, aka Renfell, and welcome to the latest episode in the Project Dramond series. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about the races today, specifically halflings, half-elves, and humans. Now, these are the last three of the playable races that players are going to be able to sink their teeth into in the tabletop version of Project Dramond. And we're doing something a little different than other games or worlds have done before in the sense that our halflings are not traditional halflings. We've talked a little bit about this, I think, in a couple of the previous episodes, but our halflings are more inspired by the Nelwyn of the Willow universe as opposed to, say, the halflings of J.R.R. Tolkien or the halflings of Dungeons and Dragons, Dragonlands, Forgotten Realms, so on and so forth. Those realms you usually see halflings as, um, putting aside Tolkien for a minute, um, which I suppose in a sense, well, we'll get back to that in a minute. We're not, our halflings are not made to be these stealthy rogue types that you traditionally see in a lot of the D&D universes where, rogues are the best at being thieves and they're in cities and so on and so forth. I was just thinking that actually, if you look at the Nelwyn from Willow, they were more inspired by Tolkien's hobbits than they were anything else because they were a very quiet people who live by themselves, often they're hidden valleys of the world, and they're really big into agriculture and farming. And we're definitely going that route with our halflings. Now, I don't want to give too much away because that's why you want to check out the post below. The first link below goes to the Patreon post today, which has the full details about the halflings as a race and how they're going to be tying into the universe. And we're going to be continuing to flesh that out as we go along, of course, with the world building. Next up are the half-elves. I need a drink of coffee before we dive any deeper. Half-elves are not despised in our world. They're not necessarily common, but they're not exactly rare. There's a lot behind the high elves, or excuse me, the half elves. I don't want to dive into their bloodlines or anything like that because that's super secret details. But I can say that for the most part, half elves are kind of accepted in this society, at least from the human perspective. Depending on which branch of the elves you're dealing with, uh, the other reactions might range from, oh, half elves are a curiosity to they're kind of inferior, but we allow them to exist, um, all the way out to outright, we're going to kill you because you're an abomination to our bloodline. But that's just going to depend on what elvish branch you're dealing with. I really enjoyed in Dragonlance, like Tanis the half elven. He wasn't exactly, he was uncommon, yes, but he wasn't like, looked down upon as some sort of freak of nature. And I wanted to have two extremes in our world where on the one hand depending on where the half elves live or travel in the world, in some places they're accepted and in some places they're not. So I like having those two extremes because I feel it kind of mirrors the racism that still exists today in many parts of the world where you know you can be from a certain place and be completely accepted, but you travel two states over and suddenly you're considered an abomination by some people. And I think that that's something that's an interesting social dynamic to parallel in the story to kind of give light to that issue, um, and talk about that and find ways to hopefully overcome that. And finally, we have the humans of Project Dramond. Now, the humans have a complicated history because of the Quantum War, and there's going to be a post. I believe next week will be the Quantum War post on Patreon. We'll do a short little overview video on the Quantum War. But humans came from the southern parts of the world and basically screwed their own world up and ended up in the land of the Fae and commingling with these other races for the past few hundred years. And that has created some tensions. It has created some alliances. It has created this new dynamic that many of the Fey races are still trying to um, navigate. So it's a very interesting position. And on the one hand, you have humans who are very, relaxed, benign, hardworking, industrious. Um, and on the other hand, you have like the church, which we did give a name to the other day. It's probably a placeholder name, but we're calling it the Church of the Elder Ways for now. That might change. The church, on the other hand, is very much set on humans are superior to all other life forms because they have access to science and technology. And they view magic as primitive, as an abomination. Magic is something that, and we've talked about this in the previous brainstorming episodes that Joey and I have done. In the beginning, they viewed magic as this parallel power source, but since the we haven't decided what we're calling it yet, but since the event that caused the abominations to spring forth and everything else, they're viewing magic as this abomination. I've used that word twice now, very quickly in quick succession. They're viewing magic as, it's pagan. That's the best way to see it. So we're going to see some parallels between, and I hesitate to say this, so I'm going to say this with a disclaimer around it. Again, not all religions are bad. Belief systems are great for people. Many religions teach good things to people about morals and um, good ways to treat other people and etc. But then you have the extremists, and we're definitely dealing with extremists when we talk about the Church of the Elder Way. This is the Spanish Inquisition. This is the Crusaders. This is the church at its most evil in the sense that they view anything opposing as worthy of eradicating. And so and you have to remember this is a small group of humans, but they are very powerful, and they're a faction. And we'll be doing a post and overview video later on about the Church of the Elder Ways because we have to flesh out the factions and so on and so forth. But anyway, for the most part, humans are pretty laid back, and they've managed to commingle very well with the rest of the races of Project Dramond. The Church is an oddity, but because they wield so much power because of their quantum tech, that's going to be an interesting dynamic to play out. Anyway, for more information, don't forget to check out the link below, which has the full details over on Patreon for subscribers about the halflings, half-elves, and humans. Also, don't forget to check out the previous videos in the Project Dramond playlist here, on YouTube. And last but not least, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you get updates for all the future content that we do here. And of course, check out the links below to Discord, where we have daily communications with everybody, as well as TikTok and other places where we're sharing out daily updates on Project Dramond as we move forward with this project. So thanks everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you over on Patreon, in Discord, and beyond. Cheers.